Oh my god, what is Hogan doing? A quick roll-up later. Tony, Hogan cheated. Bobby Heenan was truly a master when it came to making the best out of any bad situation, any bad booking decision, any bad finish on any wrestling show, whether he did commentary, manage, or was just in the goddamn building. He was truly one of a kind. Bobby Heenan is sorely missed. Even though Hogan truly earned that victory. Anyway, I'm John Renton with the Retro Review of WWE's This Tuesday in Texas, 6 days after Survivor Series 1991. That's right, you heard me. 6 days after the second annual pay-per-view that Vince McMahon created, he decided to go with the idea of doing, shorter pay-per-views for a cheaper price and going with the idea that he could just expand it and be, this global empire. Ha ha ha, I'm a genius. I'll get more money out of their pockets. I'll get them to pay more. I need more, damn it, more. I need more mansions. I need more stuff. It's such good shit. Ha ha ha. But this Tuesday in Texas, if you're wondering why this never became a tradition, well, it wasn't very good. It did okay in the buy rates, but honestly was kind of a dumpster fire, and there are a few reasons why it was a dumpster fire. One, again, 6 days after Survivor Series 1991, which you can check out my retro review of that because it was basically just a hype package for this event, which had some moments. It also had a lot of dark matches. It was kind of like the precursor to WWE In Your House, where they would have dark matches before and after the pay-per-view event as a way to basically justify the arena paying audience sitting there for so long. It's like, well, you're going to pay these prices, you get to see these matches, and the pay-per-view audience pays a cheaper price to witness half the goddamn card. But you get to see special matches, and boy, were there some special matches on the undercard here. There were a couple matches where I'm like, why didn't you put these on the pay-per-view broadcast? Why didn't you make the pay-per-view broadcast a little bit longer and include one of the dark matches at least? Because when you hear what the dark matches are, a lot of them you'll understand. One, you're going to be like, what the actual fuck? So, Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas, capacity, depending on when renovations happened, it was anywhere from 8,000 people to 11,700. And even if it was like 8,000 and 9,000 people, they got a decent house there. Reports are that it was around 8,000, 8,500 people. I will say, though, it was kind of lit like a house show. It was not lit AF, as the kids say. God, I sound so fucking white saying that at 40 years old and so Caucasian that the sun practically bounces off of me. I get a moon tan because I'm so white. But the whole point is, this event was not the worst idea in the world, except they should have had it happen closer to Christmas, or they probably should have come up with a better way to do it, because they had 5 matches, 14 matches on the card, and 5 matches were on the goddamn pay-per-view. And some of them took a lot longer than they needed to. There were a couple matches they could have cut down. One in particular, they could have moved to the dark matches, but I'll get into that. But this event, my goodness. Revisiting this is 93 minutes for the broadcast, so it's not that long. It's like an extended Saturday Night's Main Event episode, basically. And the dark matches went 9 deep. No, really. I knew a girl that could go 9 deep. In fact, she couldn't walk very well afterwards. It was like horse riding lessons for moving on. The Harris brothers. Yes, the Harris brothers were on this show, taking on Brian Costello and Brian Donahue. Brian on Brian action. Not B. Brian Blair and Jumping Jim Brunzell. Nope, 2 Brians. And of Abbott and Costello and Phil Donahue fame, losing to the Harris brothers. Now, there's no time stamp on the first 4 matches, which is fine, because they basically just featured established talents taking on jobbers. Anyway, Sir Charles, a.k.a. the future Papa Shango, a.k.a. the future Kama Mustafa, Kama the Supreme Fighting Machine, and also the Godfather, a.k.a. Charles Wright. If you have not seen the Charles Wright episode of the Broken Skull Sessions, he's really fucking terrific. Really, really good. That was very, very fucking informative. In my opinion, one of the best Broken Skull Session episodes that have happened. I want to take a quick side note. Some people have asked why I don't review the Broken Skull Sessions and other stuff that's on the WWE Network. I simply don't have time to review everything, and I pick and choose my stuff, and it's fun to look back on these events and see how well they age. This one did not age well at all. Anyway, the Godfather, the future Godfather that is, beat Dale Wolf. And which is a name that rings a bell, but I can't pick where. Maybe I'm thinking of the Pitbull, Gary Wolf. Chris Walker beat Primetime, or the future Primetime Brian Lee. Yes, the future fake Undertaker, if you will. And Chris Chavis, the future Tatanka, took on J.W. Storm, which is another name that rings a bell. I think he was just mainly a journeyman guy. So now we get to the matches that actually have timestamps. They thought that Greg Valentine versus Brooklyn Brawler was a good match to put on in front of a live crowd of this size in 1991. It went 2 minutes with Greg Valentine winning. Okay. Then we get the Nasty Boys taking on the Bushwhackers in a match that went 10 minutes, and that was about, well, I don't know, about 8 minutes too long, because the Bushwhackers, by this point, were beat up. And the Bushwhacker gimmick actually gave them a lot of longevity. If you only know Luke and Butch as the Bushwhackers, check them out as the Sheep Herders. Google the Sheep Herders, not Sheep Shaggers. Don't Google that. That's a Wales tradition. Sorry to any of my fans in Wales that haven't been watching that. I'm kidding. It's not actually that. People that do that are honestly sick. It's like that movie Lamb. If you've seen Lamb, you know what I'm talking about. Check out my review of that. The Nasty Boys, though, and the Bushwhackers is playing off of what happened at Survivor Series that was, again, 6 days prior. Then we get LOD defending the WWE Tag Team Championships against the Rockers. And they won, retained the Tag Team Championships in about 13 minutes. And more dissension among the Rockers. This would be footage I believe would be shown on future episodes of Superstars before they would do the barbershop incident. And Jannetty would, dive through the window in an act of cowardice to escape. Will you stop? One of the best heel turns, honestly. And then, LOD took on the Natural Disasters in another WWE Tag Team Championship match immediately afterwards. So they wrestled twice. I hope they got paid well. That's fucking ridiculous. You couldn't have just had that, happen when Greg Valentine and the Brooklyn Brawler had a match and then given them a break and then let him come out and do that shit again, give him a little bit of a rest. Nope, let's do that. They retained the Tag Team Championships. They would lose to the Natural Disasters sometime after Royal Rumble 92. Because if I recall correctly, Hawk would end up, violating the wellness policy that they had. And knowing what Hawk was going through at that time, that's not a shock. And the final dark match, Ric Flair versus Roddy Piper. 14.5 minutes. That was on the undercard. And when I get into this card, you're going to actually be even more floored that Ric Flair versus Roddy Piper was on the fucking dark match. They could have had that open the show. They could have had that middle of the card. Whatever. You could have extended the goddamn pay-per-view to almost 2 hours, and I think the cable providers would have been fine. Could have shortened up a couple things. Ric Flair versus Roddy Piper in 1991 when, Piper still had plenty left, even though he was on again, off again, had a tremendous match against Bret Hart at WrestleMania 8 just a few months after this. Tremendous performance in the Royal Rumble a couple months before that, and just about 6 weeks after this. The fact that match was in the dark matches and a couple others were fucking stupid. So, let's get to the 93-minute broadcast. It starts with recaps of Survivor Series and Undertaker closing the casket on the cameraman that was seemingly dead, but the camera was still running. If you check out my Survivor Series 1991 review, you will get that. And then Monsoon Heenan on commentary. The wake of Hulkamania. Wokamania, if you will. Boy, I really had to struggle for that one. Bret Hart versus Skinner, the Alligator Man. It's for the Intercontinental Championship. This would be just this would be about a few weeks just before Bret Hart would lose the Intercontinental Championship and would try to go to WCW, wouldn't be able to get out of his contract and decided to stay. Could you imagine Bret Hart going to WCW in 1992? As good as his work would have been, and still was for a number of years, my God, with all the fucking bullshit there, even if he could have got more money, Bill Watts was cutting everybody's contracts and doing all that stuff and everything, which I don't blame him. They were paying too many people way too much money. $3.5 million for Jake Roberts reportedly in 1992. Really? Fucking really? Jake Roberts from 92 to 96 wasn't worth $3.5 million over those 4 years. I don't know why I felt the need to take a shot at Jake Roberts. Oh wait, I'm going to do it a little bit later. So, Bret got a girl excited, practically just, the floor probably needed to be mopped with how she freaking reacted. Seriously, she got the sunglasses and was like absolutely going nuts. It was insane. And I mean, at the time I was 10 at this time. I was just about 5 weeks away from turn 11, and I love Bret. Hogan got me into wrestling. Guys like Randy Savage, who was always better than Hulk Hogan, by the way, and Bret Hart and others kept me locked into wrestling, especially WWE when it became too cartoonish, and even more so where I was trying to go out of my way to watch Jim Crockett Promotions and then WCW, which even at this point, I still preferred some of the in-ring action. So, Bret can make anybody look good, and Steve Keirn could work. He could. One member of the Fabulous Ones, really, really good as far as a worker, tag team worker, singles worker. He was never going to be a big star, but he could work. Now, the Skinner gimmick was ridiculous. He had the alligator man garb stuff and everything, and also had a spittoon can. It was like a soup can with seemingly crude oil in it. There was nice mat work. Brett got sent into the post, and Skinner focused on his shoulder forever. There were a lot of rest holds on this show. A lot of rest holds. Brett eventually comes back and gets the sharpshooter on for the win. Not a bad match. I wouldn't call it a lost classic, but it's certainly one you need to go out of your way to see. It's like, just see if you appreciate it. Especially if, like me, and I know I am, you love Bret Hart, and Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time. Sean Mooney interviews Jake Roberts. And I don't know why the payphone distracted me during this. Probably because I haven't seen a payphone anywhere in a while. He talks about black holes and the dark eyes, the devil's eyes, and that chilling speech by Quinn. Check out my review of Jaws after this. So anyway, he talks about looking into Elizabeth's eyes. Oh, I would have anyway. Always loved Liz. Fuck Lex Luger for contributing to her death. Liz is always beautiful, just fucking beautiful. Savage says that he will get revenge on Liz. I'm gonna get revenge, dig it. Sorry to Randy Savage fans, and if any of his family happen to be watching this. Randy Savage took on Jake Roberts, jump start by Savage, and he is just glomming Jake Roberts. He wants revenge, and then Jake Roberts targets him, targets the arm that was bitten by the Cobra. Now, it's this arm, by the way, but it's all the way down here. Now, well, actually, that's a good point. It was down here on the arm, but it's just kind of funny to see him biting the arm, or see like him selling the bite and everything. Hey, it wasn't like when they put that brace on the wrong knee of Stone Cold after he got a cinder block broken over it in 2002. No, really, that happened. But later we get Jake Roberts flummoxing, making a mistake, sky elbow, 1, 2, 3. Savage gets a victory, but of course, Savage wants revenge. Tony Gurria, who was an agent at the time, even though they didn't identify him, tried to do that, and Savage says, "You have stupid hair. I'm kicking you." Actually, he just kicked him anyway. Nothing against Tony Gurria. And then he grabbed the ring bell, but that got taken away, and then DDT by Jake. And he ended up hitting 3 DDTs throughout this whole thing. The beatdown took longer than the actual match. Now, I understand what they were doing. This was more of an angle match than anything else. It was like 6.5 minutes and Savage got the victory. But Jake Roberts was able to break Savage mentally and beat him down. And he says he basically just wanted to break Savage and beat him up and everything. And Liz was here. And he just basically said, telling her to plead, like, beg, start begging now, and I will let your husband live. Basically, it's like, come with me if you want to live. But he just keeps beating him down, hits the 3rd DDT, and he has the glove out, and he's got the Cobra. There's no Cobra in the bag. They got like a lot of shit for that, and took the Cobra, or there was no bag, or there was stuff in the bag, but obviously it wasn't a Cobra. He grabs Liz by the hair. And he's told the story, and he's like, is this going to be good? Is this going to be okay? Now, he slaps her. Now, and I mean, he does it in a working way. Jake Roberts, for as many things as I say about him, is a professional as far as in the ring and everything, and he will do stuff to make sure that people are safe, but slaps her. She sells it really well, and that's when the second referee comes out. Jack Tunney comes out. He gets Jake Roberts to leave, and that was a big deal. Nobody put their goddamn hands on Miss Elizabeth. Nobody. Even when Savage got upset her, nobody put their hands on Miss Elizabeth. And that was something that was pretty monumental for WWE television, or programming in general, since it was a pay-per-view. And Jake Roberts is backstage, and then Savage is taken out. While Savage is taken out and with Liz and stuff like that, and he feels bad for what happened, Jake Roberts yells about what Liz did and how he enjoyed it. It felt so good, I should have to pay for it. Yeah, when I say that, and then he says, bring her back. Let me touch her again. I could cultivate her into something that I'd even want. Man, took those grooming habits from his dad, didn't he? I mean, yeah, dude channeled that. I mean, I'm not accusing Jake Roberts of doing that, but boy, Grizzly Smith, boy, he really poisoned his goddamn kids' minds, didn't he? Fuck Grizzly Smith. I hope he suffered every day of his life, at least the last few years and everything. But goddamn, boy, Jake, He really turned it up with this goddamn heel turn. British Bulldog took on the Warlord with Harvey Whippleman. You know, the guy that is so goddamn scuzzy I need to pressure wash myself and everybody in the neighborhood because he's so goddamn shitty and scuzzy. Mania 7 revisited. This match went twice as long. Why did this match go twice as long? Why was there a bear hug spot for so long? Full Nelson teasing for 5 fucking minutes. Here's the thing, I enjoyed their Mania 7 match because as a kid, it's still a nostalgia pop, like watching it even now, because I loved it. I was like, there's no way British Bulldog's going to beat Warlord. Holy shit, he actually did. Because I was a kid, I was an idiot, as opposed to being now, where I'm just an adult and an idiot. Talking about wrestling on YouTube. But finally, he gets a crucifix on, 1, 2, 3, and wins. This match could have accomplished the same damn thing in like 6.5 minutes. I'm just saying, you didn't have to go so long. And then Savage yells about what Roberts did, and, you know, I'm going to get you and your little snake too, dig it. The sneaky snack, it's no longer there. And also he just feels bad for Elizabeth being slapped and everything. He's really emotional. This is good stuff. And then they would blow it off by February of 92. I mean, Savage decided to tear Jake Roberts apart at the Royal Rumble 92 and jump over the top rope, and they had to basically say, oh yeah, you got to be propelled over the ropes because Savage was so goddamn angry and so invested in the storyline. But this is good stuff. And then we get to Ted DiBiase and Repo Man with Sherry Martel, well, Sensational Sherry, versus El Matador Tito Santana. I can't imagine why Tito Santana left the company with a gimmick like this. And also Bobby Heenan making various Hispanic jokes at Survivor Series 91 and also here. Why they made me laugh, I don't know. Probably because I'm an offensive son of a bitch. So anyway, but see, making jokes is one thing. Also, Virgil teamed up. Well, you can't win them all. Why was this match not put in the dark match slot and Flair versus Piper moved here? Wouldn't that have made the show infinitely better? Even if they did a DQ finish or big schmoz or whatever. You're telling me Piper and Flair at that point, and I hate to harp on about this, but you're telling me Flair and Piper at that point wouldn't have been better. In all due respect to these 4 talents, or 3 talents and Virgil. Well, 4 talents and Virgil, because Sherry was there. I didn't need to see this match. This is like a Superstars taping, a wrestling challenge match. Anyway, Pearl Harbor job, as Gorilla Monsoon would say, pins Virgil 1, 2, 3. Yay! And then Mean Gene's interviewing Hogan. Well, you know something, and then recaps the Survivor Series, and Taker with Paul Bearer versus Hulk Hogan. WWE Championship match. Can Hogan earn the victory? I believe he can earn the right to win the title back for a 4th time. The 4th and best way to earn it is to ash your way to victory. Okay, I'm really digging deep here because this match, it was a little bit better than their Survivor Series match, but not by much. Because at this point, Undertaker was the undead zombie, not really having to move and do a whole bunch of stuff. So he was just, all that. So he wasn't doing much. But he did. Jack Tunney was there at ringside. He factored into the finish a little bit later. Hogan gloms him at first. Taker comes back. There was there was so much choking action here. I feel like I need to go, watch it on camera. Second most choking action, by the way, that I've seen on camera. You don't want to know about the first, but always delete your search history. And top rope walk, which is always impressive. I mean, Taker, for all his faults outside the fucking ring, and the fact that he stuck around way too fucking long. Taker doing that kind of shit, that was really impressive. It impressed me as a 10-year-old, impresses me even now. 6'8", 300, able to do that shit. And effortlessly. And Lance Archer does the same guy. I almost said Lance Storm. Lance Storm could do it too. But Lance Archer does it, and it's impressive with him too. But anyway, we get a flummox in the ropes where, I don't know if Taker slipped or whatever. The ropes kind of, did this, and Taker kind of slipped, and hopefully he was all right. That looked a little bit rough. But then later, Flair shows up. Tunney tries to stop him, and then Hogan says, hey, I'm going to hit Flair with a chair. Hey, Tunney, get out of the way. Oh, too late, and Tunney gets knocked down. It's the only bump that Tunney ever took in his goddamn life, I believe, until he bumped 6 feet under. That's mean. Apparently, no WWE talents went to the goddamn funeral. I don't know what the deal was. I mean, I seem to remember that Tunney got fired from the company for something. Bit weird, that. Granted, that was 21 years ago. Let's get back to the show. He's just... we get this whole ridiculous thing where Flair is, over Tunney and everything. I think trying to get Tunney. I was like, holy shit, I knocked this guy out. I mean, I probably should make sure he's all right. We get a melee. And the urn shot misses Hogan, hits the Undertaker, and Hogan grabs the urn and grabs it and everything and tosses the ashes into his eyes. Ow, my eyes, I'm not supposed to get ashes in them. And then roll up, the most devastating maneuver in all of professional wrestling. Surprise roll up, 1, 2, 3. And there you go. 2 roll-ups on this goddamn show. 2 surprise roll-ups. And Hogan is now a 4-time WWE champion. He would become a 5-time WWE champion. Because why the fuck wouldn't he? Because of course he fucking would. And that would be basically it right there. Hogan celebrated, and Bobby Heenan was like, oh my god, what's he doing? Tony, Hogan cheated! Because Heenan was trying everything he could to get the most out of this. Yeah, this show was pretty dog shit. It really should have just been I mean, yeah, they got some money out of it. I don't think they took a bath on any of this, but this was basically a house show. This was a fucking house show with like 1 title change. It was not very good. This Tuesday in Texas, you can check it out. I mean, we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it was kind of shit, especially for the placement of, again, some dark matches compared to some matches they got on the card. So agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.